Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with my partner, Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, last week was all football. We're going to hit our other fall sports this week. It's going to be exciting. And listen, there's been some action too. In fact, at the time of this show, we'll have several golf matches in.
Yes.
We'll have some soccer, not friendlies. That'd be a scrimmage, right?
That's right.
Friendly.
That is very impressive. That might be your most impressive term that you've dug up and brought to the public on this show. I like that.
I just try to flex a little muscle in terms of knowing my sports. I mean, I am the district athletic director. I should know these things.
That's right. A well-versed athletic director. A friendly. Do you want to remind them what that is?
Well, maybe you should.
Well,
it's an exhibition. I know that.
Yeah, in soccer, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Not a scrimmage.
Right.
It's a friendly contest that may or may not have gotten heated.
Maybe we should use that because later on we might talk about some football friendlies that are coming up.
I was going to say that. What if it's like we talked about last year, a WCS on WCS crime? I know it's a region game, but should we Summit Brentwood, the Battle of the Woods? Should we start calling that a friendly?
No.
Okay.
No, that's not, because I don't think it's very friendly.
It's not friendly. Not on Friday, not on that night.
No. Tate, here's what we're going to do. I feel like this is going to be sort of an educational program today, too, because we have reclassification, right? In some sports now, we're 4 classes, and some things have changed. So we want to educate the public here a little bit. Sometimes they're districts. Sometimes they're regions, right? In football, there aren't districts, they're regions.
Correct.
And then when there's a district, there's also regions, but when there's a region, it may not be a district.
Correct.
So, now that everybody's straight on that.
Thanks, TAA.
So let's just start off with soccer. We're going to talk about each one of these sports, talk about some players, maybe some predicted orders of finish when we talk about these. Well, let's talk a little soccer. So if you're talking AAA, there's 11 AAA. That's the league.
What we have always been.
Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Ravenwood. So probably the 3 happiest teams in soccer in Middle Tennessee are Independence, Nolansville, and Summit because they're in the other district with Columbia.
Correct.
Which means they just have to be in the top 2 of those 4, and it's not going to be Columbia.
Negative.
It's going to either be Indy, Nolansville, or Summit. So with that realignment, you're talking about arguably the state powerhouses in girls soccer. I mean, 3 of the top 7 or 8 anyway. Brentwood, Franklin, Ravenwood, all in one district. There's only 4 teams and 2 will make it to the region.
That's murderer's row, man. I mean, that's the SEC West right there. You're putting Brentwood, Franklin, and Ravenwood in there. And Centennial, which we'll get to in a second, much improved. So, I guess that was a geographical thing. It's like the North and the South, but goodness gracious, that's tough. There's going to be a really, really good team taking up uniforms way too early.
Which we always had that, but it was like out of a 7-team league.
Right.
Or an 8-team league or whatever. But now in a 4-team league, third is a really, really, really good, and fourth's going to be a good team too.
Yes.
So it's tough. Now, the other 2 teams, Page and Fairview, I thought this was interesting. So a District 11 AA, so in this particular sport, Page is AA.
Correct.
Fairview's also AA, so they're the same level, same, not league, they're in the same region, but different districts. I thought this was interesting. These 2 districts match up in the region, but one is an 8-team district, that's the one Page is in,
right,
and one is a 4-team district, which is the team that Fairview's in. So, again, a little bit odd.
Good thing for Page Soccer, he didn't have to work very hard to find games.
No, he probably has no extra games.
No, he had to get his traditional rivalries. He had to go friendlies because there's 14 games. You got to play 2,
Yeah,
right? Do
well,
they play? You don't know how they did it.
And some they do, some they don't. Some they north, south, it, east, west it, and then play each other twice, and then the other one once. So
a lot of miles too.
Yeah, a lot of miles.
Those are some long trips.
I hate to see that. I mean, competitively, I think Page is going to have some advantages in some of the leagues that they're in, but not being with WCS in some of these, I think is too bad.
I do too, because they had caught them. They were either beating or giving all of them everything that they wanted. So, well, I think you can go ahead and pin Page in.
I think Fairview too. Fairview will be top 2 in that district.
No doubt.
Coach Sizemore does a good job. Coach Clapp there at Page. So yeah, I think we can pencil both of those in to the region. If they're 1-2, if they're opposite numbers, then they could play in the first round. If not, maybe in the final, which will be exciting. Hey, let's talk AAA. Let's go back a little bit to AAA. You got Ravenwood girls and Coach Mancini, her first year as head coach. They go back-to-back state championships. They beat Franklin and Coach Burgoyne in the AAA final.
Which was one of the most epic state championship games
It really
ever.
was. And we weren't limiting the number of people there. We went back to that. There was no limitations that particular day. Get this with Franklin. They returned 8 of 11 starters.
Yeah.
Again, it was probably a year early for them. Emma Shields is back. Emma, we talked about her. She was also part of that unified track team there in the spring, which was really cool. District Offensive MVP Margaret DeFranco is back. Obviously, Ravenwood, always a powerhouse with Sarah Kate Roth, their top player back, and then Lexi Grundler. Now, this is something that's interesting. Because of a move, and these zones are so close, Franklin loses Maddie Taylor, who was a freshman big-time goalkeeper for Franklin last year. She's actually playing at Independence this year, or they would have 9 of 11 starters back. So, listen, you're hearing it from me early.
That's strong.
You're hearing it from me early, Coach, or Tate. This is for Coach Burgoyne. Coach Burgoyne, I'm predicting a state championship. Number 15 for the Admirals.
And the last guy you predicted a state championship for was who?
Bubba Darrin.
And what happened?
And they won.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So, Coach, I'm sure he's watching the show. Tate, what do you think about that prediction? That's. You think I'm going out on a limb? You believe in it?
Well, I don't think that's like going out on the limb predicting UT to win the SEC in football. It's not that big. But yeah, no, I mean, I think bold prediction, but I think it's a very safe prediction. Like you said, they got 8 of 11 starters back on a team that, remember, that we went all of the overtime minutes, and then we went into penalty kicks. So, and how can you go against Ravenwood? They're the back-to-back state champs. They're always they don't replenish. They don't rebuild. They reload. Right. But I do think, how do you replace somebody like Nora Henderson? Right. She was not only a great player. I think she was a big part of their toughness, their aggressiveness, don't you? So they got to figure that out. I'm sure they've got somebody, but they don't have her. It's going to be tough to replace all the other things she had. And then they got 8 of 11 back. And remember, Brentwood was right there with both of them. So, yeah, I think it's a safe call, but I think any one of those 3 could go. Bulletin
board material for Brentwood and Ravenwood early on.
Yeah, you're going to be up on the in the locker room.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about Fairview. I thought this was pretty interesting. Had a good year last year, and they've got Hannah Minier, who's a senior. She led the team in scoring last year. She's back. Lauren Terry's a senior. She led the team in assists the last 2 years. And then Lillian McElroy, a junior. What has she done as a goalkeeper? 14 shutouts. So I look for Fairview to have a shot with Page there for the region championship as well.
I do too. I think they both win the region championship and
district championship.
Sorry, that's right. Football messes me up. I know. I mess it up in basketball too. You've had to call me out on that. I think they both win their district championship, no doubt. And then you talk about Lillian. It's kind of like in football. If they don't score, they can't what?
We can't win if you don't score.
Can't win. Well, if you're shutting people out, it's kind of hard to lose.
Unless you go to PKs and then, I was looking back at that game with Franklin and Ravenwood, and officially.
But that's not a shutout if they score in PKs.
Well, but it ends up being that gets scored as 1-0. So if it's 0-0 going into PKs,
right,
whoever wins the final is 1-0.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did, but that wouldn't count as a shutout for it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean,
that goes against does that go against the goalkeeper?
She gave it up.
This is where we've gone wrong today.
You disagree?
No, I don't disagree. Yeah. It's just I feel like we're maybe majoring in the minors.
What I'm saying is, if she has 7 more shutouts this year, then you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Fairview's going to be good, is what I'm saying.
Your point was 14 shutouts. They didn't lose in PKs. Or wouldn't have been a shutout.
That's right.
Okay. Makes sense. Hey, cross country, with cross country, and again, regions, not districts. So you've got Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Indy, Nolansville, Ravenwood, Summit, all in the same region, AAA. Then you've got 2 AA teams, Page and Fairview, but they're in different regions. We probably lost as a county, as a conference, maybe more big names, but it'll be one of those sports. Now, we didn't lose the Andreas out at Fairview, the Haltermans out at Independence, but we lost some pretty big names, but it'll be, as always, one of those sports, again, reloading.
Reloading big time. And you just mentioned one of them. I mean, she's going to be there. So, but that just, I don't want to get off on this, but they're all together in one.
It's very confusing.
It's confusing and it's a little bit frustrating. And in regions, okay, maybe not districts with Page and Fairview. They're that far apart? I mean, they're not that far apart. We make the drive every year to each end for game day. I mean,
it's the Battle of 840.
Give me a rip. Whatever. Yeah, we'll be really well represented in cross country.
Here's what's interesting. I think we all remember that Brentwood girls, they win the state championship, and Alyssa Andrea wins her second state championship. But sort of lost in that, Franklin boys were runner-up.
Right.
We kind of forget that.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Now, they lost some big-time runners, but again, Coach Carolyn, he and his wife do a great job with those two programs. Expect Franklin to be obviously very competitive again. Now, talk about some big names in there. Here's one for you now. Nolansville. I'm trying to break out some information for you here. I know you love Samson Johnson as a young person. Listen, I've got some sources here telling me, look out, girls freshman from Nolansville, Claire Stigall. No relationship to John Stigall, who was the coach out there. In fact, it's spelled a little differently.
I-E-E-I.
Yeah. I'm telling you, wait and see. We're going to be talking about Claire Stigall from Nolansville. Seems like we always have young, great runners in our conference, and there's a name. Remember that name.
Write that one down.
Write that one down.
You will be hearing that again in the coming weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Your source is correct. And I think it's pretty cool. You mentioned it last year or the year before, but I think more than any sport, cross country, freshmen have a better chance to win it, than any other sport. And she's a really good one. So.
A name notably missing. Lee Walters. Everybody's glad except the folks at Page.
Right.
But ran forever, 4-time finalist for the Wilcos. That's definitely a name that we were used to seeing. And listen, maybe my favorite name in girls cross country for some personal reasons, but she runs for Franklin, Veronica Beach.
Spelled?
Beech. So it represents two schools that I was...
Near and dear to your heart.
Near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, all WCS is near and dear to my heart.
Well, and don't forget about, you mentioned Halterman earlier, but she also was a track state champion too.
Yes, she was.
So.
Another long line of great runners.
That's big time stuff.
Let's talk boys a little bit, Tate. Again, a lot of new names. Nate Martinez is a name that people are familiar with out at Independence, but you take a look at Brentwood. Some of these names may or may not be familiar, but Brody Chapman, Philip Himes, Jack Rittler, Price Kovac. I think Brentwood...
They're the favorite.
I think they're the favorite.
Yeah. Franklin got them last year overall at the end of the year, but Brentwood they're a little bit younger. I think they can both be there, but Brentwood's the favorite. Got to be.
Fairview, we talked about them a little bit before. Alyssa Andrea, of course, 2-time region and state champion entering her junior year. Lauren Sloan, she gets overshadowed a little bit because of Alyssa, but she finished 12th last year at the state meet. And then on the boys' side, Mathews, Andrea, 7th at the state last year. They're looking for their 3rd straight region championship in boys, and they finished 4th last year at the state meet.
Yep.
Coach Smith doing a nice job out there.
Great job.
Also, the bowling coach.
That is, I'd like to know.
I think he's maybe the assistant, but kind of, his dad's
the bowling sponsor.
but he's still Coach Smith.
We need to do a little research and find out if there's another head coach in the state that is dual head coach.
I don't think he's
those two
officially
sports.
the head coach, but he's doing a lot for his.
Yeah,
For his
they need
dad,
us to
who's-
come out and run a practice or two. We know a thing or two about bowling.
No bumpers for us.
Are you going to predict Alyssa Andrea is a three-time state
yes,
champion?
Yes. In fact, I may go ahead and predict four times. We haven't even gotten to three. Yes. I feel like that almost goes without saying.
It's going to be
Agreed?
tough to beat her. Golly.
Listen, again, Fairview. We keep Fairview. Again,
On the rise,
4
man.
or 5 years ago, it was all Coach Hughes and the football team. No, not anymore. They've obviously still got a great program. But these other sports, man, I'm telling you, stepping it up.
Yes, and it's important to them.
And I like that little tagline, these, we are Fairview. I like that.
That's right out of your marketing 101 class.
Love it. Tate, let's talk a little volleyball. Obviously a sport.
Did
that
anything big happen this year? Is there a bit new change?
Oh, man, let me tell you. A couple of changes there. Obviously seeking their 9th straight state championship. Coach Barbara Campbell retires, goes out on top with another state championship. You got first-year head coach Kathy Cram, who was an assistant last year. Michaela Beebe, new head coach at Franklin High School. And here's my question to you. I'm just going to put you on the spot here. Does Nolansville, who's now moving to AAA, let's talk about that league, Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Nolansville, Ravenwood. Does Nolansville knock off Brentwood in the district and or region or state?
No.
Oh,
Nolansville last year, maybe. Coach Young, big Coach Young fan. What they've done the past few years is unbelievable. Would have loved to have seen Nolansville, Brentwood, but Avery's back, but they lost a lot. And I mean a lot of fun. So did Brentwood. Yeah. I mean, you losing Eggleston. I mean, come on. But losing Charlie and Kamen and Starkey.
so you think they finished second at the first two levels, district and region?
I think Ravenwood's pretty good too, man. Yes, I think they finished second. But no, I don't think they come in and knock off Brentwood year one.
And once again, very happy teams, Independence and Summit. Now, here's one that...
And Page.
Well, but again, they're AA. There's some other sports where they're 3 classes.
Correct.
And Page is 2A. But in volleyball, they're AAA.
Right, but what I'm saying is if they had to be
Yes.
AAA, they're very happy they're in 12 AAA.
Yes.
Because they've been right there too. They've kind of like the soccer team. They play all those teams in friendlies, in non-district, non-region games, and they're right there with them. So
And you don't have to go very far back. Page had a state champion.
that's right.
So let's talk District 12 AA, Fairview in there with Cheatham, Creekwood, Montgomery Central, Stewart County, Sycamore. So again, we talked about 9th straight champion. Do they get that done? It's a lot of pressure on Coach Cram at Brentwood. Do they get 9 in a row?
I think they do because she's been there for all of it. She really ran the team most of last year, which, Coach Campbell would tell you that when, at the Wilco's, couldn't have done it without her. She's done it. She's been there. Those young ladies that are still in the program, she was a big part of the instruction. Yeah, I think they do. Till somebody knocks them off, I think they win it.
If you take a look at some of the players, and we obviously Eggleston being a biggie that we lost here in the conference, but you look at Nolansville, some recognizable names, in particular Avery Young, who was a couple of years ago MVP of the state tournament, obviously was a part of the state championship team again last year, and then Maggie Rickert had a pretty darn good postseason too. So, Brentwood, right, they just replaced people, but Holly Tate, Meredith Moody, Dylan Saucer, maybe not quite as recognizable as a Logan Eggleston. They're legit players, but when I look at names who've been dominant, no more than Avery Young for sure.
I agree. 2 back-to-back state champions in the last 2 years, and then 2 years ago she was the MVP as a sophomore, like you said. So I think for sure she's the one that been in the most games, been in the most tough games, I guess, right? That where she was kind of one of the top 2 players on the team. So yep, for sure.
Fairview, Coach Amanda Derrick likes our squad. She's got
should.
She's got some good returning players too. Primary competition in that league is going to be Creekwood. It'll be Creekwood, Fairview, but Anastasia Byerly, Ella Ryerson, Marley Baker, to name a few returning players for them. And then I don't think they meant, well, Portland's moved up. So Portland now,
they're in the AAA world?
They're in AAA, so you get to avoid them too. If you're fortunate enough to get deep in the tournament, you don't have to deal with Portland, which is a good thing.
In volleyball, yes, good thing. I think they win the district, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think they're going to have a shot. I'll put it this way. I see them in that sub-state / sectional.
Sub-state. On this show, it's sub-state.
We like sub-state, don't we?
Yeah, we're traditionalists.
Sub-state. All right.
You want to talk about some returning names? Let's go.
No, we really have it in golf. In fact, this week's gym, if you go back to Wilco Awards last year, 7 of the 8 Wilco finalists are returning, all 4 girls. Brooke Brummett, Brentwood High School, Sophia DiPaolo, who won the Wilco last year, Shelley Jang, Ravenwood High School, Claudette Runk, Miss Multi-Sport Athlete, basketball and also softball for Summit High School. And then on the boys' side, Troop Wallace of Brentwood, who won the Wilco, Harrison Akers of Franklin, Grant Clark of Page. So what you don't want to hear if you're a school in another part of the state is, oh, WCS has a lot of their best golfers back. That's not exactly what you want to hear.
No, but it's what we want to hear. It's good for this show. Yeah, man, that's great. Think about that. All 4 of them are coming back on the girls' side and then 3 on the boys. So, yeah, we're going to have a stout golf year. And I don't know who, but we're going to have one team state championship.
So,
You like that?
I think the Ravenwood girls are going to be pretty tough, and then Franklin boys are pretty good too. Brentwood boys.
They're on a tear, man. Coach Whipple.
Okay, here's another thing.
The whip attack.
Here's another thing that's interesting. And again, I love the TSSAA.
I do too.
You know, in golf, it's not AAA and then AAA. It's A and AA.
Yes.
In golf it is. But in some others, it's A/AA and then AAA.
Trust me, it drives me nuts.
So I get a little confused. So I get confused easy though.
Well, you just want to say, hey guys, we're all smart. Y'all are a bunch of intelligent human beings. I know you meet a lot because we see it on social media. Y'all meet a lot. Can we not talk about this in one of these meetings?
I feel like that we need to blame the Board of Control for this. Let's go. Can we blame Les Trotter somehow?
He's legislative counsel.
Well, let's blame.
We're blaming True. This is a Brian True problem. But no, maybe it might be legislative counsel.
Let's blame it on Les.
It's Coach Trotter.
Well, and supervised by Mr. True. So let's blame it on those two. I don't want to get in the business of blaming Mr. Childress. He's done a good job last year. Mr. Reeves, Mr. McWhorter, let's leave them out of it. Let's blame True and Trotter.
Plus, you had Mr. Reeves over at your professional development day.
Did a great job.
Well, he was a great wrestler, and he looks like he's still in good shape. I don't know that I'd really want to tussle with and he's from Springfield. Anyways, we can take True and Trotter, but Reeves, I don't know about that.
All right, so let's talk golf. So in single A, we've got Fairview. They're in an 11-team district. And then basically the rest of our teams, including Page this time, are in District 12 AA. And we talked about all those golfers who are back.
I will say this, it's a little bit different. Fairview, which they've gotten better and better in golf. That district they're in, some of those names you wouldn't think much about. Summertown Golf, really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. In fact, Summertown sort of reminds me of Fairview in this way. Back in the day, it was sort of boys basketball and Les Trotter, right?
Right.
But now, they're winning state championships in all these girls' sports. They were at least in the final, I know, in volleyball last year. I don't know if they won it, but they were in the final.
A little basketball trivia nobody cares about me and you. Trotter was not the only basketball coach at Summertown that was successful. Do you remember who he replaced?
No.
Gene McBee.
Oh.
Yeah, he was. I think they might have named the gym after him, but
he's getting too much airtime.
Don't give him too much credit. He didn't come in. He didn't do what you did at Beach and take over a 0-win Titanic.
Okay, let's talk. Listen, we're talking about some teams that were pretty good. Teddy Craig and Ravenwood.
Mr. September.
Michael Hack, but don't get that confused about him being a good golfer. Michael Hack, Connor Caparose for Ravenwood, and then on the girls' side, Hannah Ruth Walton. Look out for her too. So I see DePaulo maybe winning again. On the boys' side, maybe Troop Walski. And I'm telling you, but golf is so funny. It's about the day, the tournaments you have. I mean, it could be dominance during the year, and it could change during the tournament. So, listen, Eli Cleveland for Franklin's another young golfer that's a really good player.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is it safe to say, before, even if you didn't know really going in, it was a safe bet to say Brentwood, Ravenwood, whether it was the boys or the girls, those are your favorites. Is it safe to say that that's Franklin Ravenwood now?
Yes, I think so. I really do. I really do. That's been a change the past couple of years. So, yeah, I'm going to say that. You agree with that, obviously, because you brought it up.
Yep.
All right, Tate, we got a couple minutes left here, and we mentioned the friendlies. So, going with the theme of the show today, we're going to talk about maybe some football friendlies that are taking place this week.
Well, so here's the deal. Last week, before the first regular season game, August 20th, we all kick off. So usually in the old days, this was Jamboree week. And there's still a lot of Jamborees that go on, but not as many as used to be. So 3 of our teams they're not going anywhere. They're working on themselves throughout the week, maybe go doing a little scouting. Summit, Independence, and Franklin are all working on themselves. Ravenwood's going Thursday night because Coach Hester is taking his lovely daughter Gigi to college on Friday. They're going with Innsworth Thursday night, but that'll be the final dress rehearsal, and then we're going into work week. Something that I'm so excited about, I understand why they didn't bring it back. The Chryski Bowl. Centennial is traveling to Riverdale. Centennial versus Riverdale. Coach Chryski versus Coach Chryski. What a great thing. They said, they played a few years ago, 2 years in a row. They said it about tore the family apart. So now they just playing a friendly. Nolansville, Stewart's Creek at a Jamboree. Hickman County, Fairview is traveling to Hickman County across the border for a Jamboree. For those that are wondering, will Coach Hughes take that serious? There's a pretty good chance there'll be a boat captain sighting next week. I promise you, he's going to try to score.
Well, I noticed you got it ready. You getting it warmed up.
He's going to try to score as many as he can. Page is at Marshall County. Brentwood, not a Jamboree, but they're going to a final test with Pope John Paul II.
Hey, listen, I know they're friendlies.
Did we miss anybody? I think we got them.
I think you got it. We talked about Franklin being off, right?
Yes. Coach Melton wants to work on the Admirals.
I know it was a friendly, but something that kind of stood out. 2 things that stood out. First of all, Centennial pretty much dominated Blackman.
The Blaze wasn't that fast, were they?
They fizzled. But then you turn around and Nolansville does the same thing to Centennial. Look out for Centennial having a chance to make the playoffs. I know I said it a few weeks ago, and I'm standing by it. And also, don't feel sorry for Nolansville moving up to 5A. We already talked about that.
I think they're happy to be there. I think it's going to be them and Page. Coach, you've learned this. Coach Derrick's he don't talk a whole lot. He does, but not, he's not a me guy. You can tell he's got some quiet confidence about this team.
I agree. Coach Rathbone too, by the way.
Plus, he knows he can turn around and give it to my man about 20, 25 times a game, and he's going to break at least 3 of them.
That's great.
You like that?
I love it. Tate, always good to see you.
I'm excited, man.
Appreciate you being here. We'll be talking, previewing the games next week, and we'll have our first edition of our Pick'ems.
I can't wait for that next week. And then, is there anything going on at the Battle of 840?
Game day, man.
Let's go, baby.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being
early.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection, and we'll see you next time.